All right, so let's start building the matches. Now, this is not going to be that simple. It's going to be a little bit long because we need to do a lot of things. And one of these things, we're going to be using that, of course, throughout the whole application. So we're going to do this, this is a reusable component. You're going to see a lot of this right here. So it kind of makes sense for us to create a reusable component so we don't have to write the same code several times. Then we need to create a Firebase database. And then, of course, we need to create this tiny component so we can get the data and create all this results. But first, we will need to create the matches component, create the reusable component right here, the matches and everything else. So that's the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to go back to our application and I'm going to go back right here. I'm going to close this, the featured and everything else because we don't really need it. The index and the stripes. I'm just going to leave home right here. So we need a new directory where we're going to be hosting this inside home. And I'm going to call this matches. So matches contains two different sections, the index and then the actual blocks, and the blocks are these ones. So I'm going to create two files inside matches, the index.js and then another one called blocks. So blocks.js. All right, that's good. So now inside index.js, right here, inside index.js, of course, the only thing we need to do right here is to return a stateless component because we will return the tag at the top, the blocks right here, and then just the tag at the bottom. Right, okay. So React stateless components. And of course, this one, I'm going to call it matches home because it's the matches from home, right? Okay, so of course we will need to import blocks, but we're going to do it later. And on this one, the only thing we're going to render is just a div, which is going to be a wrapper class name, and then home matches underscore wrapper. All right. Inside of here, I will add a container because this is centered in the middle. So there is a class called container we can use just like a bootstrap. Class name and then container. Now right here on this component, we will have a div with a tag, just like this. So tag. Then we're going to have the blocks. And then at the bottom, we're going to have a tag, which is going to be a link. And this one, it's not a link, and this one it is. That's why we use our reusable component. So we need to pass props. Same thing we did with the previous project. Okay, so I'm going to save it. And of course, we need to bring the matches to home. So I'm going to go to home, and inside home, we import matches. Why not? Matches from // and then matches. Right. So I'm going to make a copy and make a reference to this. All right. Good. So of course, if I go back to our application, we kind of get nothing so far because we are, not really rendering anything. We get this, but of course, we're going to do it right now. So first, we're going to create that reusable component. So I'm going to go to matches, and the reusable component is going to be inside UI. Now, this component, the tag, is not, super important. So I'm going to store it inside a common file called Minsk for miscellaneous. So inside Minsk, we will, return this component. So of course, we will use some JSX. So import React from React. That's it. And we will be using link. So import, then a link, and then from React router. I don't know why it's not giving me the autocomplete. This is why. Import React router DOM. Very good. So I'm going to export a variable, a function called tag. Right. So this function will be receiving some props, and then of course we return something. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass props. Just like we did on the previous project, this tag will return a template with some div, whatever div, doesn't matter. Just going to call it tag. And inside of here, we will check if the tag it's a link or not. Again, same thing we did before. So if And of course, if we have props dot link, we don't have this props so far. We're going to create it in a minute. Else, we're going to return something else. So if we don't have the prop link, we will return the template. And if we do so, we're going to return some other JSX wrapped in a link, right? Makes sense. Open and close, link. Okay. So the link, and I'm going a little bit fast because we already did this on the first project, and it's really simple. So in this one, we will have a prop called link2, which is actually the actual reference, the direction, the location where we're gonna go. And of course, at the end, we will just return the template we have right here. So in theory, if I include this from a different component, we should be getting a div with a tag inside. So I'm going to go to the matches and I'm going to import a tag from, and it's going to be // // UI / and then misc. And if I make a reference right here to tag, let's check it out. Oh, export default import as tag was not found. Okay, this is my mistake. I'm importing tag without this because maybe you don't know this. When you export something like this with not export default, and when we import it right here, this doesn't know what to look. If we do this, it's because we are importing something that it has the export default. If we do not have the export default, it's because we have many exports. So we need to import one of the file. In this case, we just import tag. That's why we get no mistakes and we get the tag key, right? Okay. So I'm going to go to the matches. And now this tag will have special properties, of course. So I'm going to go to tag. I'm going to go right here at the bottom. I'm going to add a VCK, which is going to be the background. And in this case, it's going to be hashtag then 0E1731. Right. I'm going to add a size property, which is going to be 50 pixels, and then a color with, I don't know, white. Yeah, white makes sense. So white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So this tag will have some text. So instead of making a self-closing tag, I'm going to say tag, and inside we'll be saying matches. Now this tag has a background, a size, and a color. So we are passing that as props. So inside of misc, inside of this component, we need to catch that props. All right. So I'm going to go to template. And what we're going to do, of course, we return a div with some properties. So I'm going to do this. So what we do, we add this style property to this element. So we do have a background. So I'm going to say background, and this one, it's equal to props.bck, the thing we are passing as props. All right. I'm going to put comma. I'm going to go font size, and then remember we have the size. So it's props.size, then comma, we have a color, so it's color, and I'm going to be adding props.color. We do have that as props, and then we can add whatever property we want. In this case, I'm going to be adding some padding, 5 pixels and 10 pixels from the side. The display, it's inline block, inline, and then block. What else? Oh, and the font family. Font family is going to be righteous. So right eos. Very good. So made a mistake right here. Righteous. Right. So now if we render this, it will render with all the props and the padding and everything else. So we kind of get it, it's nice. We kind of get it. Very good. Oh, let me delete this. Now, if I delete it, we get this square bracket because we don't have a text and we are not defining the text as props. I'm defining this inside of here. So what we could do, we can pass props.children to fill the inside of this div. So props.children, right. Gonna reload it and we get matches. That's good. Now I'm gonna show you something else just in case. Right now, we are just passing background, font size, and color. What happens if I want to pass something else? Maybe I want to add some special property just to the style of this one. and I cannot add the style right here. So what we can do, we can create a special property that has some CSS, some other CSS properties. For example, I'm going to say add. I'm going to open and close, and I'm going to be passing just an object with some things inside. So I'm going to say maybe, I don't know, the color is red. Just something like that. Just color red. I know I'm defining the color right here, but I'm just redefining it right here inside of this add property. So now inside of MISC, what I could do comma and do dot props dot add. And whatever we have inside add will be added to the end of all of these properties. So the color red right here will override the color red right here, and we will get a color red. So inside of the add property, you could pass, some custom or specific stylings. And if you think about it, this is what we do with Material UI. We add a style, and that style, it's actually a property from Material UI. It's not real style. But we can override some default stylings with our own custom stylings. And this is very, very useful. All right, what else? So we have matches, and then we have the blocks. I'm gonna remove this, I don't need this. Here we go. Okay, so we have matches, we have the block, and then we have a tag. If I go to the original, it's just a tag with a small font, but this one, it's a link. If I click it, we go to the matches, right? So what do we need to do? We need to pass the link property, just like we did on the previous project. So I'm gonna start all over again. I'm gonna say tag, open and close. The text on this one, it's see more matches, right? And again, I'm gonna be passing some properties. I'm gonna copy this. I don't want to type it again. So BCK. Now the background, it's instead of blue, it's gonna be white. The size, instead of 50, it's gonna be 22. And the color is gonna be that blue. So I'm gonna copy from here. All right, so if I do this, we can get it, this is good. We can get it, but it's not a link. So we need to pass the property link true, just like this, true. And the link to property, if not, we're gonna get an error. I'm not sure if I made link to, yes, link to without camel case, link to. So if I open and close, this one is gonna go to the team, just like this. Let me make it right. The team. We don't have this route. We will do it much later. So if I go hover, we can get the link right here. And if I click it, we go to a route, of course, that doesn't exist yet. But we get the top and we get the bottom. So now the only thing we need to do, the remaining thing for this component, it's the blocks. But before we do the blocks, we need to set up Firebase.